grab your wine. It's time for Rosé All Day and Juleigh's a Mess, where we talk about current events and living in an intersex life. And now, here's Juleigh.
I know I say it every week, but I really do love that intro and I love that music. It just makes me, I'm always like, da, da, da. So hi, everybody. Welcome to Rosé All Day, Juleigh's a Mess, Sidebar, Optimistic in Orlando, which is our podcast that we currently have going on. That's an offshoot of Rosé All Day, Juleigh's a Mess, which is all about dating online in a big metro city. I'm joined by my co-host this evening, the lovely Rebecca Davis. Hi, Rebecca. We were absentee last week just due to some things that were going on, and Rebecca is getting ready to go to London.
The London Cup, Juleigh.
I love it. With her family for the holidays. Look, she is living her best real-life holiday movie going to London with her family. I'm a little upset. I've been watching The Crown. I miss London. I'm a little bit jealous. Anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. For those that are listening to us out on the podcast radio waves, thank you so much for continuing to watch us and listen to us. I know this show has taken a few ups and downs and turnarounds in the last few years, trying to find where we want to be. But we are really excited about Optimistic in Orlando and what it could lead to for Rebecca and I, but also just for all of you that are trying to navigate through the horrendous landmines of online dating. We're going to start the show off by talking about my rosé this weekend. We're still looking for a wine sponsor all these years later, and I had to make a big pour because this week has been, oh my gosh, that rhymes. I had to make a big pour because this week has been a fucking chore. A fucking chore. But I am drinking tonight, and you can pick it up wherever your fine wines are sold. This is Bella Grove. I'm not going to lie. I definitely was drawn to the hot pink and black label. Bella Grove. Find your camera, Juleigh. And its price point is under $10. We're going to go ahead and share that with you right now because I did go through the process of writing it down. Rebecca is actually doing it tonight because she's feeling a little under the weather, and she has been performing this weekend. She's a part of a fantastic choir in Savannah, Georgia. And of course, it's the holiday season, so people sing. And so she's singing. And so mine, Bella Grove, she's drinking tea. And we're going to get into it. We've had a lot going on. First off, I'm going to take a breather. Rebecca, what's going on in your life?
The concert was very exciting. Thanks for calling that out. And in my dating life, things are going pretty steadily on one level, and some exciting new developments on another. So yeah, that's been kind of interesting, a slow sort of steady rise. And otherwise, getting ready for the holidays. Your week has been so much more interesting though. Can we please get to it?
Oh my God. I did have a banner week. So many things were happening last week, and I thought that this week was going to be like stellar. And in so many ways, it was absolutely stellar. And then in other ways, it was
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Look, in other ways, it was sit in the bathtub, cry a little bit, stare up at the ceiling and wonder what the fuck is going on or about to happen. It's all of that. Some interesting things that we're going to talk about and kind of put on the hot plate as we go into the show. This show will be a little bit different this week because we do have so many updates and good things going on. And we're going to talk about how I literally at 2:00 one morning just obliterated every possible match that there could be in the Hive. And Rebecca and I talked about it. We had said, hey, she's getting a little bit more busy and it's hard for her to go in and try and select these matches. We were a little frustrated with how people respond to the matches and how they were falling out of the Hive left and right. That did prompt me to go in last night and write at the beginning of my profile, fucking read my profile before you swipe, because that would save me a lot of trouble. And I don't understand, Rebecca, how so many guys just swipe, and girls probably do it too.
No, right? I've been told they just auto. Well, no, I guess that's left. They auto swipe right, and they just go whoever they get, and then they start sorting through as if they're actually filtering for the first
based
time.
on
wildly frustrating.
Which is frustrating too, based on your look, right? Based on your look and how you look in the pictures, right? And they'll be like, oh, I'd bang her, right? Oh, yeah, I wouldn't give her the time of day, left, right? And same probably for women. Oh, I'd climb that tree, right? And they're not reading it. And then you get guys that are like, I fucking hate this app because the women all seem vapid and they're looking for over a certain income level, or they want to see me in a suit and tie thinking that I work a 9 to 5 and that I'm a banker or what. Like, it is all predicated, it seems recently, on looks. And
I know a couple really nice guys, one in particular, who's actually very earnest about the dating search on there, but he ends up having bad experiences and people ghosting. And then he drops off of there. So then you've got a lot of nice guys who don't want to put up with it. And then your numbers of possible options go.
Oh yeah. 100%. And it's frustrating because, I said it to you earlier. I said, I cleared my Hive out. I went in and cleared it out this week because I was like, some weeks, everything that you could possibly be looking for, you feel like, oh, there are a lot of options this week. And then some weeks you go in. I mean, I live in Florida.
No, I mean, the thing is I start when
where I was about to go with that.
I was. And you can go there in a second, but I just have to say, I start getting in there, and for you, who I have, probably higher standards for than myself at 3 a.m, I still start being like, oh my God, I am scraping the bottom of the barrel with these matches. And I have this then I start lowering the bar, and I'm like, but I can't lower the bar for someone else. So it's tough out there.
It's frustrating, and it's tough everywhere. We're going to talk tonight too about how we've mentioned it in other shows. There are a lot of sites on social media that are gaining popularity, like Sis, Is This Your Man? Which is women that are like putting pictures of their current men up, or men that they're having interactions with. And they're like, is this your man? Does your man know that y'all aren't single? Does this man know because, and to toggle off that, you're also getting all these sites on Facebook and social media and Instagram that are like, are we dating the same guy? And it's gotten to the point where it used to be women could just go on there and say, hey, I really like this guy. We've gone on 4 or 5 dates. I feel like he's hiding something. Do any of you know him? Right now you go on, and this whole last week, it's been, hey, any red flags on Michael? And then people will be like, oh, is he 24 and lives in Jacksonville? And people are like, yeah, girl. And they're like, oh, run in the other direction. He is a cheat. He's got 27,000 kids. He has whiskey dick. And you're like, what? Like, why are we bashing these men that bad? Like, why? Like, is there nothing left? And this girl this week in one of the groups, she was like, and well, this will make you laugh too. I don't think I uploaded it. Did I upload it? We were going to share it. Let me see if I can upload it during the show. I have a friend that she said, oh, here it is. I'm going to upload it real fast. She said she's on a lot of these sites because she travels and it's something to do and look at while she's traveling. And she was like, what she finds funny is people, right? What she finds funny is she says, so I'm a member of these groups in cities I travel to because, you know, cisnet men are capable of some atrocities, and I want to be sure of who is doing what. But are heterosexual women okay? Question mark. The women in these groups, are we dating the same guys, will be posting the most dry and grubby looking dudes up in here. And then it has a meme and it says, she says, stay away from her man. And it has a picture of her man. And it's like, I don't even know what that is. It looks like a chicken with like
an ostrich toe.
But
like,
literally, she's not lying, right? And then you want to be like, Sharon, nobody's going after your man. We're talking about real.
No, but Julie, people are going after her man. There's that guy I know who's got like a wife and a girlfriend or whatever, some friend of a friend. He's got like 3 women going, not even ethical non-monogamy. He has no teeth. He has no teeth.
Well, and you just go, what? And that leads me to what I was talking about. I'm clearing out my hive. I live in Florida. I'd said this earlier to somebody on a different chat platform. I'm not a man hater, just wish the options were better. And the guy said, understandable. And I said, it's like you're a deep sea fisherman and all the quality fish are depleted and you keep dredging the bottom and yielding seaweed, license plates, and crabs.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Rebecca earlier today, I've been clearing out the hive almost daily. I feel like none of them are quality lately in Florida. They either look like Miami drug lords here. I thought this was a good representation of that, right? Because that's what they look like. Or they're fatter versions of Snow White's dwarves. And they'll be like, I love Wawa and motorcycles. And you're like, and you literally go,
No, there should be a game also that is, what state am I in? And you just blindly go through someone's profile that's traveling. You can freaking guess. Every time I'm like, oh, our location has updated. These people are Alabamans. I don't know if that's what they're called, but it's really interesting. There's definitely a Florida vibe. No hate. I'm from Florida.
No hate. But then you get conversations like this. So we're going to read a conversation. I'm not posting it because this was a conversation from today. We're going to call this guy, for intents and purposes, Slow. We're going to call him Slow. Maybe that's me being a little judgy and rude, but I've been really judgy this week. I'm mad. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So Slow, obviously the ladies on the hive open. So I said, hi, how are you today? Hey, I'm good. HBU, how about you? I'm great, thanks. Anything interesting going on? Honestly, just having a lazy Sunday. HBUUU. You could say, I think that's a mistake that he hit the U a bunch of times, but I don't
think it's a mistake.
I said, I am gathering up for my podcast tonight, about to take a nap. Oh, wow. What podcast? Are you living in Florida? X.
What's the X?
Or it says, are you living in Florida? V. Sorry, not an X. And I was
what that means.
48. I have cataracts. And I said, yes. And he said, that's nice. I just moved here and I'm new as well. And I said, sweet. His profile says he's new. He's from Dubai. Whatever. I mean, that's good. It's conversation, but it's always like weird conversation. Then we
you
have this,
opening with a man opening with "I'm on my couch being lazy" is basically just foretelling your entire future.
oh yeah,
until you die
100%.
together on the couch.
So then there is, we're going to call this guy Osborne. We're going to call this Mr. Osborne. If you know anything about music, you can probably figure out what his name is on the hot. Mr. Osborne.
I see him.
Okay. And I said, he wants to know what your perfect weekend would be. You know, because they can lead you to ask. I think it's funny when guys are like, ask me about my travel plans. And you're like, I could care less about your travel plans. But if that's what gets you to talk.
No, but here's the thing, is he has a photo, a selfie of himself on the beach, and it's right underneath there. And it kind of looks like he wants it to be him.
Yeah. So I said, my perfect weekend would be cocktails near the water, pool time with my partner, good food, and maybe a massage at the hotel spa.
Mm.
He said, and my perfect weekend would be to be with you and enjoy the wonderful moment. I just met him, right? So then I thought, okay, this is probably a gutter. And then I said, and then he said, beautiful pictures. You are gorgeous. Do you think it's too early for a date?
That's a flag for me.
Rebecca's waving a red flag. So then I said, I don't really know you, but I'm down for a date, maybe. And he said, great, me too. We can get to know each other here until we meet in person. I mean, that's what the app's for. So you're not really, that's not. And so then he says, I live in blank. How about you? And I said, oh, I live down the street in Orlando. And he said, nice. I just moved here. I was living in California. And I said, I love California. Why the move to Florida? It's trash compared to California.
And then, guys, we don't have any further conversation to work off of.
Well, I mean, who knows? He may respond. Sure. It's not, but I literally am at that point. And that's what I mean. I'm cleaning out the hive because this is what weekly conversations tend to be like. Right?
No, they're so dull. I'm like, who are these people?
And then
no, I don't blame you. This is, and I mean, you're bringing it to a real level. And he's like, also, what's interesting about this is he's like, do you think it's too early for a date? You're like, no. And then he's like, let's get to know each other on here. And I'm like, did you just dangle a date because you know that I want one and now you just want to chat? It's a weird move. Anyway.
It's a weird move. And that's going to lead us into our gutter in a second. And also talking about priorities, which is what this week's episode is somewhat about. But I can't believe I forgot the most important news of the week. That's what happens when you're drinking on Optimistic in Orlando with your good friend who you haven't seen in a while. And it's the holiday season. And you've had the week of like, ugh. So I was tucked nicely in bed last Monday night. It was about 1:30 in the morning. I was checking some email and playing a rousing game of Royal Match on my phone. Mm-hmm. And a friend from Facebook that I used to do extra work with in California, I adore her. She's stunning. She pipes in. She was like, oh my God, how do you keep getting prettier every year? And I thought, that's one of the nicest compliments ever. She must have cataracts. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I thought it was a great comment. So she literally says, I told her I bathe in the blood of young virgins, which is what I often tell people on TikTok. And then I said, you have to get them right from the hospital, because virgins, there aren't a lot of them left anymore. It just seems like the weight of the world and the chaos in the world is just going right off the cliff, right? So not a lot. By the way, this is a live action show. So as you join us this evening, feel free live action, like it's Indiana Jones and Doom. You can go into the chat room and you can chat with us. It is a chat environment every week, and we love hearing from you as we move through the show. So this girl, Wendy, she she reaches out to me and says, which is so funny, there were a lot of Wendy's going on. I should have watched Peter Pan and gotten even more Wendy's into the match this weekend. But so Wendy reached out and she was like, so do you know a Dr. Wendy Walsh? And I said, no. And I'm like, it's 1:30 in the morning. What is this about? Like, why now? And she said, you don't know her. And I said, no. And she goes, well, she is a Canadian-born author, professor, radio host, TV commentator, and she lists her whole resume off. And then she was like, she's pretty well known. I think she's been on Dr. Drew before. She has a regular show on iHeartRadio weekly, which is in full syndication across the country and even international, like in Canada and stuff like that. And I said, do I need to know her? Like, is she a friend of yours? Like, where is this conversation going? And she goes, well, I asked because she does her show every Sunday night on iHeartRadio. And she goes, I was listening to last night's show because this was last Monday. And she goes, and she mentioned you by name. And I went, what do you mean she mentioned me by name? Like, huh? And she goes, she mentioned you, Juleigh Mayfield, by name. She knew all about you. She knew about your journey. She literally mentioned it. So we're going to play the clip right now because, of course, I ran to iHeartRadio to listen to see what was going on. And this is what I heard.
Guys who are intersex, have features of both. And I believe that some of them, there's actually a movement on for many of them to live as a sort of dual gendered person. There's a woman I follow on TikTok who's so interesting. You should follow her. Her name is Juleigh Mayfield. And she very clearly says, I am not trans. Her voice is fairly deep, but she explains that she actually is 47XXY, which means 46 chromosomes are what we normally have. She has 47 because she has an extra Y chromosome. And she was raised male because that was the sex that was assigned to her. But at a certain point in her life, her doctor said that she should swing to the female side because of, she mentioned a bunch of health concerns, lupus and osteoporosis, etc. And so she explains to the world, I am not trans. I'm an intersex person who is swinging a little bit to another side of who I naturally am. I think the most important thing that we need to consider in a culture, and this whole topic has become so politicized, is that, sex chromosomes are programmed to do something at birth and something else at puberty. And the main treatment, I hate to use that word, intervention for children who have some gender confusion is puberty blockers, something to stop puberty. I'm not sure that I completely agree with that.
Hi. So that was a TikTok video that I made in response to that. Of course, I reached out to her immediately and I thought, oh my God, I had no idea. And I tell my followers on TikTok and other social media platforms, you never know who's going to hear your story or the breadth of your journey. And I literally, I don't get starstruck, I think because I was an actor and I've done a lot of acting, right? And so I don't really get starstruck when celebrities come into my ethos. But this one, I literally was like, what? Like, what? So then I reached out to her. And in reaching out to her, I just said, hey, I heard you mentioned me on your show. I sent her an email. And I looked her up and found her email on her website. And I sent her an email and said, look, I heard you mention me on your show this past Sunday. And not only am I in awe, but I'm thrilled. And if I do have an extra X and not an extra Y, but I'm not going to be, a harbinger of like, you got my information wrong. But I said, if you ever want to learn more about it, or if I can be a liaison to your learning for the intersex community, please reach back out. And she reached back out immediately with an email with my name in all capital letters saying, oh my God, not only do I want to talk to you? I want to put you on my radio show. She goes, I want to interview you. She goes, I teach 2 classes at the University of California in gender, and I teach it on Mondays. And I already show them all of the videos of you explaining what intersex is and what your journey has been from TikTok. And she goes, I also have, she goes, if you're willing to talk about it, I host a weekly relationship and dating podcast. And she goes, I would love to know what dating is like for you if you're open to talking about it. And I went, I talk about it already every Sunday. I have a dating podcast. Like, it, literally, kismet and energy and synergy and any word you want to use for that. It's almost like lightning in a bottle, Rebecca. And so I'm super excited because next week we will be live, and we haven't decided what we're talking about. But after our episode next week, I will stay and I will go on at 10:30 Eastern time, which is, I think 7 something California time. And I will be on the Dr. Wendy Walsh show. And she is going to interview me. And it says Dr. Wendy Walsh, America's relationship expert. Watch video, The Science of Love. Finally, a self-help expert who helps you help yourself. Through her unique lens of evolutionary psychology and attachment theory, and backed by science, Dr. Wendy Walsh shines a light on love, marriage, parenting, and workplace dynamics. And so that will be next week on iHeartRadio. On the channel is 660 a.m. She does her show every Sunday night, and that'll just be the radio interview for us. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. And I'm excited about what it means for the intersex community as I get to reach a different platform and a different kind of level as an advocate. I'm also interested in being on our dating program because maybe I'll be able to learn a few things about, I'm not perfect. I've got, I just said to somebody the other day, I think dating is so frustrating for so many people. Going back to swiping right on all these profiles and not reading, I think idealistically, we all have an idea of the person we think we are meant to be with, that we think that we're going to be taking holiday photos with and going to pumpkin patches with and going to weddings with, and they're going to be our plus one, and we're going to be happy, and we're going to be doing all the things that we see on social media. And I think ideally we have this idea of what that person is going to look like. Mm-hmm. And when we don't find that person, we're frustrated and we get morose and upset. I literally did it today driving through the parking lot because I saw 2 couples at Winn-Dixie, and the guys were somewhat cute and the women were not. And I literally thought, what is the problem? I'm gorgeous, right? And I thought, okay, without coming across as completely vain and stuck up, I did say, Lord, I'm pretty. Everybody tells me I'm pretty. So how am I not meeting what I think I should be meeting dating wise? And you've got these men over there that are with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters or vice versa. And I'm not trying to be mean, but you literally go, huh? I mean, it's a little, and then I had a guy this week say, I would think that you've been hit on, that you don't have enough time in your day to beat off the people that hit on you. And I thought, okay, I get hit on a lot. I do. None of them want to stick around. None of them want me beyond sexual gratification. So I said, you think pretty people, and we talked about this last week, you think pretty people have it easy? They do not have it easy, right? We don't have it easy. It's not any easier for us than it is for everybody else that's out there trying to look for love. The dating game sucks today. And we're talking about priorities tonight. I saw this meme earlier. I thought it was comforting, but also very true. Rebecca, do you want to read that for everybody?
Yeah. Be with someone who chooses you every day. not just when they are in the mood for you.
Read that again. Be with someone who chooses you every day, not just when they are in the mood for you. I've been dating a guy that I adore, but I find that he literally puts me on the back burner. And this takes us right into priorities. Where should you fall when you're dating somebody? If they're in the mix to find love and they've told you on their profile they are 100% looking for a relationship, where do you fall? Right? Where do you fall? And is that what they're really looking for? I have a slide for you. I want you to see. It's the first time you're seeing it tonight, Rebecca. This was a conversation I had on the Hive this week. And see if you can see where I was like, huh? Oh, that's not it. Did I put it? I thought I loaded it. Did I load it? Let's see. It's been a, see if I loaded it. Because, no, I loaded it. So we'll go back to that one because that was gutter swipe of the week. But let's see if I loaded it. I'm going to come back over here. If I didn't, we will reload it.
I think you're getting good at this point of like knowing almost right away from a profile where not only are you getting very good at your gutter swipes, but also like where you're going to lie. You specifically are getting much better. Like you'll call it out. I'll be like, oh, I think this guy might be really cool. And you're like, yeah, but he clearly puts his kids first and that's great for him, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's like a sixth sense that one picks up over time. Here we go.
So here we go. Now, obviously, good luck finding him. I didn't mean to show his name, but he says, I had actually said to him, because in our earlier conversation, this was a screenshot towards the end of the conversation. I said, but wait, your profile said you're looking for love. Are you not looking for love? And this is what he said. I work 85 hours a week, not 40, not 60, 85 hours a week. So I don't have a lot of time. So if I'm honest, I was looking for physical intimacy, but I'm open to the possibility of a relationship if the right person comes along. And I said, 85 hours, wow, you must love your job. He said, it's more of a necessity. How about you? To what are you looking for? And I jokingly said at this point, because it didn't matter, a husband. And he said, would you be open to something more casual and see if it leads to more? Here's the thing, though. I know what you're going to say. And here's the thing that I said. Look, if that were any of you that are listening or watching this podcast, if that were any of you, you're looking for a relationship. I'm looking for a relationship. 85 hours a week is insane. That is a lot. Now, we don't know if this guy has kids. We don't know if he has other engagements. I'm assuming 85 hours a week and a necessity means he probably has a past and might even have child support.
Or he's a workaholic and you're always going to come last.
But that definitely makes you want to think about, where do you fall in the mix?
I also, as a very quick aside, because I got to get this out, I cannot stand it when men say, I'm looking for sex, which he euphemized.
Yeah.
And though for the right person, the amount of times I've heard this, the right person, I will get married, be in a relationship. More is usually the word used. And that is really just string along the women who are like, actually, absolutely not. I'm looking for someone that has some time for me, that wants to date me. And they're like, oh, I guess I better give her some sliver of hope. Ladies, gentlemen, do not fall for the sliver of hope. especially if he's got 85 hours already off the bat.
I mean, that's a guy that's going to ghost you for sure at some point.
Absolutely.
And then blame it on, oh, I was working or I had to work late. Or,
oh, I can't with that. I
only had 79 hours. Let me tell you, there's a huge trend going on right now, and it's called let them, right? I know people that want to get it tattooed on their body. Let them, right, is the phrase. Let them ghost you. Let them be greedy. Let them. And the theory behind it is people are going to do what they want to do, so go ahead and let them do it.
And then make your choices accordingly.
But the thing is, if you're looking for a relationship, if you're truly looking for a relationship and you like the person that you've matched with on an online dating app, you will make the fucking time to see them. And anybody that's not carving out that time for you, even if you happen to fall somewhere else on their priority list, right? Because it's going to be different for everybody. So, for the longest time I heard, we'll take Christians, right? Because I grew up Christian and my parents used to always be, God is first, right? And so you'll hear people sometimes say, God is first, my kids are second, my partner is third, right? Some people say God is first, my partner is second, my kids are third. That's more my parents. My parents are like, God is first, then my wife or husband, then my kids, then our family, then whatever, right? Lately, it seems like guys out there are like,
sex is first.
Sex is first. My job is second or third. Hanging out with the boys twice a week is fourth, right? I have kids from a previous marriage. They're fifth. And I used to say all the time, I've said this to Rebecca, we talked about this in one of the earliest episodes of Optimistic in Orlando, because she said, why are you so against men that have kids? And I said, I'm not against dads. I'm not. But if you're already working a 40 to 50 hour job to pay for those kids, and now everything in this country is even more expensive. So you're already working those hours to be able to maintain your lifestyle and pay for your kids. If you're a single dad, any free time you have is then going to go towards self-care and taking care of your kids and spending time with them, right?
It's true. It's a reality.
Which is absolutely 100% where that should go. However, that puts any relationship, especially a new relationship, so far back on the back burner that she doesn't know if she's coming or going, or he doesn't. It doesn't matter who you're dating. The person you're dating does not know whether they're coming or going. Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't become like dating. It becomes like I occasionally see him at a 5-year high school reunion and we have sex together. And then like, he tells me he loves me and he likes me. She tells me she loves me and she likes me, but I don't see her. Mm-hmm. And then that leaves you wondering, are we exclusive? Can I date other people? Are they going to get mad if I'm dating other people? Am I going to be called a serial dater? It changes everything. And so I do not enjoy dating people that have kids, especially young kids, because I know it's going to place me really far away on the back burner. And then they're going to have to eventually explain to these kids that I am not a cis woman. Mm-hmm. So why buy into that bullshit?
I mean, it makes total sense. And this kind of goes into the idea of, like, when we think about the let them thing, it's like, all right, so if somebody's way busy, if somebody's whatever, let them, and then you decide for you, very customized, build your own Sunday, what works for me and what doesn't. If you want to be number one on a person's list, above work, you get to choose that. It's going to be really hard to find, and they will probably be broke, living in their mom's basement. However, you can choose that if you want. Or you can choose kind of any version. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying no to dads in certain circumstances. We'll still look at their profiles sometimes, however, to make Rebecca happy.
Well, and I'm not saying completely no.
No, but it's
but every situation's different. And I understand that too. What I'm saying is odds are normally if they have more than one kid, you're
totally right.
You know, if they have one kid that they only see every couple of weeks, you know, in my head, I'm like, okay, let's say you get your kid every other week, right? Then on the weeks that you don't have your kid, you should be focused on building this new relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that I take up all your time, but I need to see you more than once a month.
Right. Well, and here's the other question that we have talked about before that I want to go over with you again and get your perspective. Because there's the idea of when you're first meeting someone, there's a certain level of priority you have for an internet date that you have not met. People are getting very comfortable ghosting, not showing up to dates, just whatever it is. And they clearly have very low priority for somebody they've never met. I mean, myself included. Then you have the person you've gone out with a few times who you're starting to get to know. But at what point in time do you even get to say you want to be new relationship priority or whatever and even get on the list? Because I think a lot of people right now are walking around just treating like anyone they haven't met before or haven't really gotten invested in as like the very, very, very bottom tier, like not even polite anymore. And then it's like, at what point in time, because somebody could say, okay, well, you know, if you're with a dad, maybe he would put you like higher on the priority list, like you would end up having, he would work really hard to carve out time for you once you're deep in a relationship. But also, how are you supposed to know the difference? How are you supposed to know the difference between somebody who just doesn't have time for you right now and you're trying to play cool girl and you're like, all right, fine, you have a life, you have work, we haven't met yet. And then somebody who's never going to put the effort in and you're never going to be anywhere near the top of the list.
Or, and then add this to the mix, the guy that's playing the field and is love bombing you and telling you that you are exactly what he wants and that he can't wait to introduce you to his kids. And then you find out because you just happen to be on one of those sites on Facebook, are we dating the same guy? You put their name in and bam, their profile pops up and you realize that they have dated 17 women in the last 3 months in your area.
Oh, that's the other thing is I don't have time. And then you find out they're not exclusive. You're not the only thing. So, oh, you don't have time for your large roster. You don't have time for me because I'm one of your harem. Okay.
Right. And then that makes you feel, and let's talk about ghosting real fast, because I think out of all the trends that have come up in dating, ghosting is absolutely a sign that you, male or female, are not a fucking adult and can't say to somebody, I've changed my mind, I don't want to go. Something's come up, I can't be there. I really want to get to know you, but I can't make this Friday night work. Can we reschedule? But nobody's having those conversations. So instead, they ghost you and you end up, right? And I've been ghosted before. I know a lot of people that have been ghosted and they'll mention it. Guys mention it in profiles all the time. I would be a little more amenable to this interaction if I didn't think you'd ghost me, right? It's almost like it's trendy to ghost somebody and people are bragging about, oh, I ghosted her. Oh, I ghosted him. Why? That's literally saying you don't have the balls to be a fucking adult and say, I changed my mind. I'm not interested. And I learned something out about you that I don't love. It's not gonna work out.
You can say, I've gotten closer to someone else. It was really nice chatting with you. You can literally lie is better, in my opinion, than ghosting.
Tell them something, right? And then you think about, I think what people don't realize is people that have been ghosted a lot
become the ghosts?
Well, they're not in the mental capacity to continue dating.
Yeah.
Right? They go home and you don't know what you've done to them.
Mhm.
Let's create a profile for everybody listening at home. Let's say that Linda in Chicago does not have great self-esteem. She doesn't have great confidence. She struggled throughout high school and college to find an identity. She finally has gotten a job that she likes, but she's still struggling. She doesn't like being at home alone. All of her friends are getting married and having babies. She can't go on Facebook with that, right? So she's like, what's wrong with me? And then Linda goes on a dating app and somebody shows her interest. And they have a conversation for a couple of weeks. And then she sees hope in the situation and they say, let's go to dinner. Let's go have drinks. I'd love to get to know you better on a more intimate level. Meet me at Chez Le Gray. I don't know if that's a real restaurant, right?
If it is, it's fancy.
At 6 p.m. on Friday night, and we'll do dinner, and then maybe we can walk around the lake, right? She's gonna be fucking ecstatic. At this point in the game, we don't know what this guy or girl that has reached out to Linda looks like, but for Linda, she could just be like ecstatic that it has opened up the world of I'm going out to dinner and I get to meet a new person and this is going to be great. Mm-hmm. And then she gets ghosted. Who's to
worse?
Say,
worse. They talk.
Not going to go home and internalize that and kill herself.
You don't know. You never know where someone's at in the journey where you treat them like shit.
And then, the person could be like, oh, yeah, I saw her once. I hooked up with her once and I ghosted her. Or she's not what I wanted. I ghosted her. Or he doesn't make the income that I thought he made. He works at Subway, so I just ghosted him, right? And you think your actions literally, you have no idea what you're doing to other people when you ghost them. And that leads us into the next thing that made me super upset this week. Super upset. And we may go a little bit over. We're about 47 minutes into this week's episode, but we may go a little bit over tonight. But I was sent an article this week. Somebody shared it with me. And somebody that we do have a lot of people that reach out from this show and just kind of will say, hey, what's your advice on this? Or what are you thinking about this? Actually, one of my cocktails on TikTok mentioned it in a live. And it was one of those moments when you're like, do you have proof? And then they email you a news story that was on a local news channel, an article, and then it's been written about a couple of times on the internet on blogs. And your heart just sinks. So without getting in trouble for naming the parties, there is a new trend that seems to be surfacing in big cities where restaurants in the area are making dating profiles on popular dating apps. They are catfishing people and talking to them and then plan a date for the individual to go out to dinner at a local restaurant. When the individual shows up for the date, they have found out that the profile has blocked them and they have been ghosted. They have found out through research and through investigation that restaurants are starting to make these profiles because they believe if they can get you out to the restaurant and you're ghosted, there is a 70 to 80% chance that you will stay and get yourself something to eat or go to the restaurant bar and have a drink. And that will still provide money to their bottom line.
It is literally disgusting.
That is despicable. And I said to Rebecca tonight when I shared the story with her, and I said, we're going to talk about it. That is a new high. I wouldn't want to be a restaurant and have blood on my hands. And you may not know. What if Linda had gone to one of those restaurants and that happened? I've gone to restaurants before and gotten stood up. And men at the restaurants have said, well, you can come eat dinner with me. And I've literally said, thank you. That's so sweet. I'm good. I'm going to go home, right? Because I don't want to be pitied and I don't want to be included because I'm pitied. And then I had a guy recently in Savannah say, well, my family's celebrating my 50th birthday. You can come have a drink with us and sit with us. And I thought, again, like nobody wants to be in that situation. I went home that night and I ate a half a gallon of lactose-free ice cream. I'm different. I'm a strong fucking bitch.
Yeah, you could have eaten the ice cream there.
But there are a lot of people that will go home and they will put a bullet in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Or they will take a bunch of Quaaludes. Mm-hmm. Or they will think, why on earth am I working so hard to struggle to pay rent, to struggle to get ahead, to struggle to find that perfect job, to not have anybody in my life that chooses to be with me every day, not just when they feel like it, right? That was our kind of quote post that we shared earlier, right? Here it is. Be with someone who chooses you every day, not just when you're in the mood for it. And because they're so frustrated, they end their life. I would not want to be a restaurant that's in the black because I ghosted everybody in town. It is literally makes your heart break. And if that's true, and people would be like, well, that's not true. That's false news. Well, they're already reporting about it.
It's happening somewhere. I mean,
major cities.
It's not Chili's, maybe, but it's someplace.
We don't know if it's Applebee's. We don't know if it's Chili's, but it's happening. And that's sick.
It is. I mean, it's like beyond even just the obvious level that you're talking about. It's also like, have we really gotten that gross between businesses and people that you are making money off of people emotionally eating and their desperation and loneliness? Is that where we're at right now?
I've literally been talking to this guy. I don't know if Rebecca knows this or not, because I don't share everything with her, but I've been talking with a guy for about 3 months. And it's been light fare on the phone. And he has professed his love for me, not of me, but just for me. And he has dreams of running his own business one day and living kind of out in the woods. And I don't say woods, like I'm not like, he's not going to like kidnap me. It's not going to be like a horror movie, but like he would like to have his own farm. He would like to make honey mead. He would like to do a business that has to do with honey and have his own bees. And
so he wears flannel.
He probably wears some flannel. He's currently driving big rigs across the country. I feel bad for him. We were supposed to go out for sushi Thanksgiving week, and the company he works for had him on a turn and burn, meaning he came down, he stopped, he thought he was going to have some time here with his family. And they were like, nope, you got to go back out to Wisconsin tomorrow. And so like, he hates that job. He's trying to do better for himself. And I literally said to him today, as I made stew for dinner, and I sent him a picture, he goes, you can make that stew for me. And I was like, I would be so happy. Like, I know we joke that I'd like to be a trophy wife and all this, but you can be a trophy wife and live out in the middle of the woods. Trophy wife is not about being on a yacht or a cruise or a boat. It's about being in somebody's life where they truly value you for what you bring to the relationship and bring to their life. And then they treat you in accordance, right? You can be a trophy wife. And I often laugh because there's a lady I follow on TikTok named Mama Tot. Her name's Juleigh. And I laugh. I'm like, in a way, she's a trophy wife. She's not. I mean, she is the breadwinner, but she's happy in her life and she is gorgeous. And in a way, yeah, she's not in Beverly Hills or she's not in Naples, Florida on a yacht, but she's still a trophy wife. She's gorgeous and her husband adores her. And I said to this guy tonight, I said, I'm starting to hate people more and more. I'm starting to hate the world more and more. And I'm trying my damnedest not to become bitter in all.
Yeah.
I'm trying my hardest not to become bitter. And I said, can you just get back here and rescue me and take me out to the woods and we'll live on our farm and raise honeybees and I'll market and you can make and, and we'll just live a simple but a fulfilled life. And he goes, I'm trying my hardest to get back to you. He goes, I'm trying. And that's great. I would love for that to work out. I don't know if it will, but like you just get to the point where you're just like, ugh, with everybody, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to bring us, we didn't talk about gutter swipes this week, but we are going to talk about, we did say we're going to start naming a gutter swipe of the week. Rebecca has not seen this. I told her I was wondering who was going to fulfill the crown of gutter swipe of the week. And I'm just going to say his name because I feel like we're protecting the world. It went to Enzo this week. It went to a gentleman by the name of Enzo. Look, at the top I put, women are frustrated because men are only looking for sex. Men are frustrated because women are tired of them acting like boys and wanting more from them. Mm-hmm. The gutter swipe of the week goes to this dude. So it says he's from Colombia. And I'm going to put on my glasses to read this because it's getting a little bit late and I drank a lot of this wine. Anyway, it says he's from Colombia. He's Colombian Italian. He's a nationwide avid traveler based in Florida, Mexico, and California. For serious inquiries, I can cook, clean, do laundry, let you check my phone, be loyal, last longer than 15 minutes, and I'm well endowed. For non-serious inquiries, just ask me. He's a Sagittarian. He is 5'10". He works out sometimes. He's looking for something casual, and he's into sex positivity. The question I asked him on the Hive was, what do you think you're really good at, even if others don't agree? I said singing and breaking the fastest gutter swipe in the history of this
record.
He said eating pussycat without the cat. And I just responded with, I will take your word for it.
What is hilarious about this reveal, too, is that the question is things other people don't think you're good at.
Right. And here's the thing. There was nothing about his pictures that made me think at first he was a gutter swipe. I literally thought, well, he's cute. I'll give him a chance. He seems charming. And then he drove that car directly off the cliff.
Full speed.
And you just go, okay, that's why women are frustrated. They're putting their time and energy into filling out a profile, looking for somebody that fits and completes their puzzle. And on the back end, you've got Yo-Yo Enzo going, I'll eat you out. And he said something very interesting, which we're going to talk about this real fast too. He mentioned, I will let you take my phone. I saw a video on TikTok this week of clips of people reaching for like a condiment on the table or salt and pepper. And in every video, their partner snatches their phone up and acts like they're going to look at it, right? That the person was going to look at it. And people in the comments were like, if my partner didn't let me look at their phone, we'd be done. I'd be out because it's a level of trust, right? So then a lady in one of these groups, are we dating the same guy? She came forward and said that she has been in a relationship with a guy for the last 3 years. They broke up, they got back together over cheating. He was cheating on her. And she said lately he has been going on, and this goes back to priority as well. Lately, she's been so proud of him because he is making sure that he has self-time for himself and that he's doing things that support him and not just the relationship. And one of the things that he's been doing has been going out on guy nights, right? Doing guy nights, game night, poker night with guys. And he has been texting and opening himself up more to these male on male kind of broships, right? And then somebody in the group said, you better make sure those are guys he's talking to. Once a cheater, always a cheater. So she did her homework. And I guess she went in and put all these numbers. And she actually asked in the group chat, how do I find out? And one of the women said, you text them. If you have access to his phone, you text them and ask, hey, is your name Ronald? Are you going to game night tonight? Right? And she said, you may have to do it to all of them, but you'll get your answer soon enough. And sure enough, she texted one of them and said, hey, are you going to be at game night tonight? I can't wait to throw some beers back. And the response was, you're so silly. I'm wearing the panties you bought me.
No.
And then she found out that he literally was talking to women behind her back, but he'd given them in his phone all male names. And then put, like in the contact information, work buddy, accounting. You know, and every time he'd be like, oh, this is Ben from accounting. He's so funny, right? And so she thought all this time, oh, he's really making some friends at work and he's really kind of growing. And then he was going to game nights. And in fact, he was meeting each of the men who were also women for sexual. And when I heard that story, I remember I was driving to the grocery store that night and I was thinking about this show and I was thinking about things we talk about. And I literally said, where do they learn that? Where do you learn to become so deceitful? And then that goes back to the whole ghosting conversation and do you not have the balls to be a man or a woman and say, this isn't working for me anymore. I don't like this relationship. I don't want to be in it.
Or even, can we open it up? Any version. There are so many options. What's interesting, and maybe this is a theme for us to talk about on one of our next shows, is the privacy issue. How much privacy do you feel you should let your partner have? Because I am personally somebody who does not want to look at somebody else's phone because I want them to have something sacred and I want to have something sacred. And I feel like if I feel the need to look at your phone, which she certainly had the need to based on his history, then I'm concerned. But we should talk more about that, about like, I want to know what you think about how much you should really have visibility into every aspect of your partner's life.
I have always said, I think a big point of relationships 100% is trust. And that circles so much in a relationship. If you can't trust somebody to be honest about who they're talking to, I don't need to know everybody you're talking to on the phone. I don't need to know everybody you're talking to on Facebook or social media. What I need to know is when you talk to them, am I a priority?
Yeah.
Right? Do you say, oh, I need to check with my girlfriend? Oh, my wife might have something else planned for us that evening. I need to run it by her. Oh, we'd love to come hang out with you and have drinks, but I need to check with her. I've been working all day and I want to see her first. And I want to talk to her first before we decide if we're coming to meet you for karaoke or if we're coming out to see you, or I have to run it by her. You're really attractive, but I have to run it by her first or him first. I need to talk to him, right? I would give that level over to them as well. I think trust is really important. I think if you truly have trust in a relationship, other things that present are not going to seem so ill-fated because we trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes so far. And yet so many people don't, oh, I trust them, but you don't have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Evelyn in that video where everybody was like grabbing their phone real fast. And if you're in a position where you're going to grab your phone really fast because you're talking to other people, look, let's be honest. I am dating multiple people at this stage in my life because I'm trying to find the one that fits me best. And until you ask me to be exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to date. That is what dating is. That's what it means. You know, when my mom met my dad, she was dating a guy in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy had proposed to her, but they were not exclusive. And she met my dad, and she was dating my dad as well. And my dad literally gave her an ultimatum and said, I'm not going to stick around. If you want to go to New York and marry this guy, go to New York and marry this guy, but I'm not, I want to be with you. So if you're going to go to, you know, if you're playing the field, fine. I'm asking you to be exclusive with me. I want to marry you. So you need to make that. And my mom eventually chose my dad. Great. I wouldn't be here. Woo. But like, I tell people I'm dating.
Well, the interesting thing with the phone, real quick, is with the dating. Okay, so I am dating as well. There is also someone consistent in my life, but whenever I'm around someone on a new date, I do turn off notifications, or somebody that I've been seeing. I turn off notifications on my dating apps if I'm on them. Sometimes it's your profiles. And on my and on anyone I'm chatting with, you know,
I don't pick up the phone. I certainly don't pick up the phone and look at it. If I do, I might check my email. I'm not gonna lie. I might check my email or just see what's popped up if my grinder or whatever's going off. But I do it when they get up to go to the bathroom.
Right.
But I don't say, and usually I'm like, oh, I'm out on a date. I'll text you tomorrow if I want to. Or I might just close it. So it looks like I read it, but you know, I'm thinking about, but that is what it is. Until somebody says to me, I like you enough and want to be exclusive, I'm going to continue to date because that's what dating is. That's my opinion about it. Now, when it comes back to trust, you've got to be so wonderful in front of me that I want to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can't break that trust, right? And we laugh because I take those oh my God quizzes all the time on Facebook. You know, you laugh because if you've ever taken those quizzes before, they always give you the same explanation. They just word it a little bit differently. So like you could take what's your name mean? And then you could take why don't you deal with shitheads? And it'll be the same answer. It'll just word it differently. And it always says at the end, you know, Julie's a storm. She's one of those people where she hates cheaters and liars. And you will get the side of Juleigh that, you know, you will get the side that reflects what you've put into it, basically. And if you've cheated on her, if you lied to her, you might as well pack your bags and leave because that's not what she enjoys. You know, she doesn't like that. And trust for me, like, I'll say it. I'll talk about it. We've talked about it before. One of the hardest relationships I've had to grow from happened while I was in Savannah. And it was with a guy that I absolutely, unequivocally was in love with. I loved him. And they often say you can't help who you love. I fell in love with this guy. And there were aspects of his life that did not line up with aspects of mine. And I turned blind eye to them. And there were things we did together that other people, I think, would be horrified knowing me. And finding out that I was willing to put up with. I write about it in my book that's coming out next year, right? But I still love him very much. And yet I know that I can't go back to that. And I know that we're done, right? And that's hard to swallow sometimes too, that we're done. And I know that a lot of my friends and chosen family and family that love and adore me would absolutely stand in front of a train before allowing me to go back to him, which sucks because I still love him. But I couldn't trust him.
Yeah.
Because there were times that he kept me out of harm's way. And I realize now, looking back on the situation, he was making sure that I didn't get hurt by being in the vehicle or being in the area, right? And so I love him for that. But there were also times where he was not honest with me. Mm-hmm. And once that card is played, once that untrustworthy card is played in a card game or in any situation, right? Once that card is shown and played, you don't get to go back. You can't go. I mean, it is always going to sit with you that you can't trust that individual.
I think you can earn back trust, but it comes with interest, and it is a very tiring position to be in if you are either earning back the trust or you are the one who is waiting for them to earn it back. And not everybody wants to do that. And there are some people that that's a really bad bet to take. But I do believe that you can, in a way, I think people kind of have to earn trust in the first place. I know there's the idea, trust anyone and then they can break it. I'm a little bit on the other side of it. But yeah, I mean, there are some people who go through that and they are okay with it, but that means that then you lose your privileges of not having your phone checked. You lose your privileges of these different things, and it's going to be really strained for a while until you can trust that person. And then in the back of your head, you know, and there are people, you are not a person that wants to let someone earn back trust. I don't want someone to earn back trust on certain.
I don't think I want them to earn back trust because I'll feel like they're always going to break it again. Or,
well, yeah, I mean, and that's, you know, that's
one of the first things that guy told me from Savannah, one of the first things he told me, which I'm all about the details. You know me, I've been around. I'm all about the details, right? My mom used to laugh because I could go to the zoo and we'd be staring at one animal at the zoo, right? Like the camels. And I literally would look up into the tree above the camel thing and I'd be like, look at that really pretty bird. And my older brother used to get really upset and be like, it's not a part of the zoo, Julie. Quit looking at it. That's not in the zoo. And I'd be like, it's an animal and it's in a tree above the camp. Like, why can't I look? Like, I was all about the details, and that always made my mom laugh. And, you know, with this particular guy, one of the first things he shared with me was he was not close to his mother. He was like, I'm not close to my mom. And yet, throughout our relationship, he kept taking phone calls from his mom. And I thought, okay, either you are close to your mom and you're not honest about that, or that's not your mom.
Yeah.
And
yeah, either one. It's not. And that gets to if it's a pattern of behavior, if this person has shown signs of weak character, if they have patterns of behavior that are consistent, that's not just I fucked up, I need to earn your trust back. Those are some foundational things that make it an unworkable relationship. Love is absolutely not enough. You can love somebody, but having a workable partnership is a very different situation. It's a very different situation from a situationship. It's very different from dating. It's very different from love. It's very different from flings. It is a very specific relationship. And it is heartbreaking for us sometimes to have to, when you need to prioritize that in your life, lose people along the way. But you can't try to make an unworkable relationship workable if it does not have the foundational elements.
When I told him one of the last times I saw him, I said, this was all avoidable. Because if you told me the truth from the beginning, we could have worked through it.
Mm-hmm.
But instead you hid. For whatever reason, you weren't honest about some of your actions. I'm very, as an individual, even talking about what we do each week and trying to find in a metropolitan city, right? My go-to is always, you ask about privacy, but my go-to is always, if you're honest with me at the front, if you're honest with me in the beginning, because I'm pretty fucking honest about what I bring to the table. So if you're honest with me, that allows me to figure out how to process it and how to work around it if I really like you.
Yeah.
But if you're not honest with me, it makes me wonder what other things you're not honest about.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to trust. And that makes me start to think, well, you're not going to have my back in public.
Well, and the other thing is when somebody's leaving out information, if they're avoiding conversations, if they're being dishonest, you then have to work around missing pieces to the puzzle. And then I'm thinking of like a scoliosis type situation, but when one is like wrapped around trying to figure out how to deal with this lack of information or a sense of a lack of information or false information, you're now making choices and putting chess pieces in play in that relationship that you're building a very weird and wonky foundation because it is not based on something accurate.
Very true. Oh, Kenneth, is it Gelman? Kenneth Gelman has joined us in the chat and he said, well put, Rebecca. Well put, Rebecca. She does have a way of, that's why she's on the show, guys. She has a, Julie is off the cusp and like says exactly what's going through her brain a million miles a minute. And Rebecca is able to like talk Julie off the ledge and, you know, kind of give us a practical response to a lot of these things. And Kenneth, thank you for your input. So we've gone about 18 minutes over, which is okay. I mean, we usually are at about an hour. We did about an hour 18 tonight. Maybe an hour. We could probably push it to about an hour 30. I do have to say it. I did make, I made a lot of graphics tonight. I did not make a graphic for this. However, you can follow us for more information on justjuleigh.com for more content. We've updated the page, so now it says that we are live every Sunday night. We will be, we're going to talk a little bit to Rebecca about London because she's going to London. So one of our shows we will in the near week, 2 weeks. Next week we'll be live. We're probably going to talk about privacy because we've already kind of touched on that tonight. And then we're going to do a show in the can while she is at, this sounds so weird, a show in the can while she is in London, even though it would be great if she would just, you know, that would be like an early day for you in London, right? I'm
going through London, but I'm actually going to be in Canterbury, where the Canterbury Tales are from, and I'm going to be with my grandmother. And so I would love for her to be on the podcast, actually. But
we can talk about it. That'd be a lot of fun. You know what? What's that movie with Cameron Diaz and Kate Winslet where they switch places for the holiday? Look, what if I just somehow I'm able to find a sponsor to get me a ticket to London while you're there, and I'll just show up. Like, I'll show up and I'll be like, "Hi,
I would love
our podcast." I the problem is that I would meet somebody over there and I'd be like, Rebecca, I met somebody in the airport and I'm not going back.
And then I would have to talk you off the ledge and we would talk about it.
You'd be like, you have to go back. I'm not going back.
I'm a priority for him.
I'm staying in the UK. I'm an expat. So we're going to talk about that in a second when we get off. But what? Oh, I have some really good news. I know what else I was going to talk about. So I have a good friend. She's also my attorney. She's my private attorney. Her name is Irene Pons. She's here in Orlando, and she is an adjunct professor of law out at UCF. And I've partnered with her on a lot of things when it comes to being intersex. And she's always kind of been there right by my side through my name change and through fighting Alabama and winning that case. I mean, she's always been kind of right there. And she has been a part of 2 very important documentaries. She's actually making 4, but the first 2, one was called, I think, one's Breaking for Impact, and the other one I want to say is Crosses, something to do with crosses. I'll have to find out for a future episode. But the Crosses one came out this year, and I went and saw it at the Winter Park Library in Florida when I first moved back. And both are very poignant. And also they're documentaries on the outlying issues that individuals face trying to cross into the United States from our outward borders. Mm. And it talks about their plights and things that they're up against, even after they come in. And it talks about the U.S.'s practices on securing those borders, but it talks about more about the fallout of the in-between, right? And I just want to say congratulations to Irene. She's talked about finding grant money so that we can do my documentary. She would like to help with my documentary, which that would be great. But congratulations, Irene, because last night she picked up, out of 5 categories that she was nominated for, along with her colleagues for her documentaries, she is the recipient of 4 Emmys. I know, right? You got all excited.
That's very impressive.
4 Emmys out of 5. And so, and it was the South Coast Emmy Awards here in Florida. And that is pretty amazing. And so congratulations to Irene for that. It is great when you have friends that are constantly doing things to change the topography of the world around us, right? And that brings us back real fast to next week. After our podcast next week, you can find me, Juleigh Mayfield, on Dr. Wendy Walsh's show on iHeartRadio, which is 6:60 a.m. I will be being interviewed by the legendary Dr. Wendy Walsh, and we will talk about what it means to be intersex and also dating an intersex vessel. I don't know what she's going to ask me, but I'm super excited about it.
I'm so excited.
You'll be able to find that on iHeartRadio. And you can find clips of last week's show on my YouTube channel. And then real fast, I made this for Rebecca and myself last week. She's sharing this on her Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. And then I am sharing mine on my Instagram as we try and get more viewers to join us here every Sunday at 7 p.m. Rebecca, any closing remarks about what we've talked about tonight? We unboxed a lot of stuff.
We really did. I think circling back to priorities, I just want you to know that no matter how busy I am, you are a priority in my life. And I'm so grateful to have you.
I love you so much. Every time I've gone into a store this week, I'm like, I wonder if Rebecca would like that for Christmas. Not that I have money to be spending anything Christmas. Maybe maybe I'll just send you a bottle of rosé.
We should just send each other pictures of the gifts that we would get.
Yeah. I would buy you this diamond tennis bracelet. You deserve it. This diamond dog collar for your neck. Never mind. So anyway, also real fast before we end the show, thank you to Kenneth Galeman. I don't recognize that name, so thank you very much for joining us this evening, and I hope you had a wonderful time watching. Somebody else is watching. We often have a lot of people watch after the fact, which we're okay with, but we would love to get your feedback. If there's anything that you would like us to talk about on the show that we haven't covered, please message us at Juleigh at justjuleigh.com or at info@justjuleigh.com to let us know what you would like us to cover. I think next week we're going to talk about privacy. And we didn't do Rebecca's picks this week. We didn't do any gutter swipes this week because I have been cleaning out the hive. I've been going in nightly, and
Julie took over. I said, Julie, you need to get in there. This is a numbers game. We got to get your numbers up. We can't be waiting every Sunday for you to find the love of your life. I will find my picks for you. You get in there. I trust you now. And Julie went wild. And
there were 15,
me having some room to still pick people.
There are 15 individual potentials in the hive currently, just waiting for them to respond. Some have responded, and we talked about those earlier tonight. It really is a numbers game. It's also a get out of your comfort zone and go out game. A lot of people often ask me on TikTok and other platforms where my confidence comes from. Confidence, I have to tell everybody that's listening, that is a learned trait. And what I mean by that is nobody has confidence 100% of the time, right? There are nights that I totally self-gas my confidence and I don't put on my best face. I don't go out with the best intentions. But you've always got to be ready. But there are nights when I go out on my own where I'm just so fed up at what's been laid at my doorstep that I put on my best outfit, comb my hair, I put on my makeup, I make myself look like Elle McPherson, and I strut into the bar or restaurant, and I don't give two fucks about what people think of me. And those nights, I come home with more numbers than the phone book. So it really is about confidence, but that sometimes absolutely 100% is a learned.
Confidence, in my opinion, is a choice. It's two things. It's one, choosing not to give a flying fuck about what people think.
You can say, Rebecca, it's you too. Don't give a flying fuck.
We don't give a flying fuck about what people think. And you do have to make that decision sometimes. And you just say, this is not going to matter to me. It is a choice. It's not just something that comes to you. Two, it's choosing not to be attached to outcomes. Because if you're afraid of what's going to happen, how it's going to go, whether you're going to look good or not, blah, 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 your confidence, you're going to be constantly measuring if it's going the way you want it to. So you have to be not attached to outcomes, still keep your standards, and choose not to give a fuck. That's my opinion.
And with all of that we've said, I'm going to leave. Tonight's been kind of like up and down, right? Low, high.
Right.
We've talked
it's been your week in a nutshell.
Yeah, and we've talked about things that have made me mad. Let's leave it on a really funny, light note. I'm currently seeing somebody that has the same name as my dear older brother. Okay. Have you heard the story? Did I tell you this story?
I have not. No, I'm not ready.
So I said to somebody in a chat room yesterday, it's really difficult when you like somebody and they put limitations on your interactions. And what I mean by that, and this is why you'll laugh. So my, I'm not going to say my older brother's name. If you know, you already know it. But this guy I'm dating has the same name. Now, imagine during adult fun time, the guy that you're dating says, why don't you ever say my name? Say my name, right? Da-na-na-na-na-na. And I'm like, because, babe, I like you, babe. No, say my name. Yeah, but you're so good, babe. Say my name. Oh, it's so good, daddy. Say my name. Let me tell you, there is nothing weirder when you're getting pleasured to turn around and yell out your sibling's name.
I cannot even begin to imagine.
It is horrifying.
You need to give him a nickname.
It's horrifying. He won't let me call him by his nickname. Like, we literally were in the throes of passion. He was like, just say it. Just say my name. And I was like, so Thanksgiving comes around, and my sibling of the same name says, I love you so much. Happy Thanksgiving. And I glanced down at the text message because I was out pumping gas, and I saw the name, and then I saw, I love you very much. Happy Thanksgiving. And I thought, that's a little early to be throwing out the love message. Like, that's a red flag. And then I had to like click on it, and I was like, oh, that's my older brother. Thank God I didn't send him a tit pic. Like,
I know. I was really worried we were going to go there. It hasn't happened yet, is the thing. It hasn't happened yet. You need to put in an emoji in front of the guy you're dating or at the end of his name so that just put the eggplant or the, all the things.
I mean, I've already taken care of that. But I'm just saying, could you imagine if I wasn't paying attention? I was totally like off in La La Land, and I'd sent a picture of my game show buzzer to my brother.
No, I can't imagine.
Like, happy Thanksgiving. I can't wait for you to stuff me. That would not have been good at all. That would not have been good at all. Okay, so thank you to Bella Grove for really good wine, because Julie is feeling it. She's enjoying it. Rebecca, thank you so much. We're going to stay in the green room and talk about next week. Once again, guys, if you're joining us next week at 10:30 Eastern, 7-something California time, I will be on the Dr. Wendy Walsh show, and she will be talking to me about what it means to be intersex as I educate her and so many others on her platform about what that truly means. And then I don't know what else she's going to ask me. I have to make sure I don't drink a lot next week, because I do not want to be drunk for her show. And all of that said, looks like Rebecca, we lost her for a second. But with all of that said, we're going to end the show, and we will see you next week.
For more content, follow justjuleigh.com. That's just Juleigh, JULEIGH.com. Thank you to our guests, and thank you for joining us this evening. Join us next week as Juleigh tries a different rosé.